3,500 people showed up tonight to pay honor to Charlie Kirk. That said, what we're looking at right now is an issue of the heart. Nancy Pelosi today said that she's sad for the death of Charlie Kirk, but it answers to, or it relates to, the gun issue. Guns don't kill anybody. It's the evil heart that's behind the pulling of the trigger. When you look across the American landscape, we are trending in a direction where Charlie Kirk, you think about the assassination on President Trump, the attempt on that. You see Charlie Kirk now. When is it going to stop? Do we really believe that this is the last assassination attempt that's ever going to happen? Absolutely not. So the question is, what are we going to do about it? And we've got to address the issue of the heart. People are talking about policies. Good. We need to have them. People are talking about having dialogue and meetings, and let's get together. Let's hold people accountable. Yes. But listen, until the human heart is challenged, there was a day in America where we actually hung the 10 Commandments in every public classroom, and it said, "Thou shalt not murder." But we can't have that back. Your guests tonight have wonderfully spoken it. The left will not have it. It's got to be their way. It only works if certain people die. And you can't put up religious things because that's an issue or violation of separation of church and state. Well, how has that been going for us as a nation? God is out of the public square, and this is what we have, Trace.
Yeah, I see a rabbi is shaking his head over there. Rabbi, would you like to add?
Oh, 100%. What I really want to add to what was being said is Charlie Kirk was the Abraham of our times. I know that people are going to say, Abraham? Yes. What did Abraham do? He was one individual in a world where they were throwing their children into volcanoes, and he challenged everybody, come to my tent, let's talk. Judaism began on ideas. Judaism began on education. The whole world's religions, the basic religions, all came from conversation in a tent. Charlie Kirk never got angry at anybody. Abraham never got angry at anybody. Look what Abraham built. Now look at these 3,000 people. You just killed their main guy. Do you see rioting in the streets? Do you see anybody going across America saying we're going to go, no justice, no peace? No. You know what they're all doing? They're all talking about how can we make America better? How can we become better? And that is the threat to the other side. Now let me explain to a minute. Could you imagine? I have an oath of office to take care of my people. People being murdered all over my streets. And somebody wants to come in and say, I want to give you more police. And you say, no, he really is a dictator. He really wants to take over the power. Just remember, the people that are in power of your city are scared of losing their power while your son tomorrow may be killed. Charlie Kirk was teaching everybody, stand up, be an individual. You don't need the government. You empowered by God to make America great. And that's the fear.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago, Charlie Kirk said this about Christianity.
What is the meaning to life? I mean, tonight I challenged thousands of people about what do they actually believe and stand for? Are they living for something that is worthy of your life? Listen, Charlie died today in a cause that was greater than him because it was based on truth, based on the scriptures and his belief in God. And so I hope that the revival that is being talked about is for real. I tell you what, Trace, we're going to know it because whenever there's a revival, historically, the culture is dramatically changed. And that is true for all history, that when a revival happens, morality increases and righteousness prevails, crime decreases, and love for fellow man is intensified. That is the mark and the sign of a revival, where the church wakes up and does the right thing, and the world sees what the church does and says, wow, I want that. And so we need to make sure that we are putting out the right message. But listen, we've got to be honest. God is holy, just, and true, and this kind of violence will not go on forever. There is a day of justice coming, and I need to encourage people tonight. How can people get away with this? Listen, in the end, they're not going to get away with it, and we're all praying that this man gets caught, but in the end, he's going to get caught.
Yeah, I want to bring Brylan Hollihan back in if I can. What do you think about the statements you're hearing about Christianity, about young people, about revival, about the more emphasis on religion we see these days, Brylan?
That was the life that my friend Charlie Kirk lives. I've got to say that probably the coolest thing about him was in the hecticness of the campaign trail, in a moment where you could have made every excuse not to attend a church service, not to make an extra flight home, to be there, sitting in a pew on a Sunday, every single Sunday without fail, no matter what part of the country, what campus that him and I were speaking at, he made a point to fly home, to take his wife, to take his 2 young children to church, and he turned his phone off every Sabbath. You couldn't reach Charlie Kirk on a Sunday no matter how bad you needed him, because he actually respected the Lord so much, and he was such a father figure. And I think that that's what makes this so painful. Trace, I was thinking back, and you're talking about some of these previous tragedies, what we saw in North Carolina, and the school shooting we saw just a few weeks ago in Minneapolis. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to live in a country that has these tragedies. Charlie's whole goal, Charlie's whole movement here, the way that he got this notoriety, we were talking about the stronghold he had on Gen Z, was because he took the time to talk to us about the American dream. He gave us hope that there was an American dream that we could attain. And yes, there still is. I don't want Gen Z to lose hope and fear in this moment, but we don't have to live in a country like this where we just accept these tragedies and move on to the next news cycle tomorrow. We can stand up, we can speak out, we can continue the torch that Charlie just passed us.
Yeah. Are you finding this, Rabbi? Are you finding when you talk to young people, which you do all the time, are you finding this newfound faith?
Let me tell you something. The young kids, I know from the Jewish Chabad movement that I have, we have a thing called C-teams. And I got to tell you something. They are enrolling in the last few years. Teens that could be going out bowling and doing whatever they want. They're coming to wonderful classes. We just had last year in Manhattan over 5,000 teens singing and dancing in Times Square. I'm a Jew and I'm proud. They want it. They're hungry, and they weren't worried that there's going to be some Hamas something. Why? Because they have faith. And these are not kids that have fathers with beards. These are kids from public school that are running. Give me more. I'm hungry. I need reality in my life.
Yeah. Stand by if you would, Rabbi. Charlie Kirk being remembered as a loving husband and father, as well as a political force who many say helped swing the 2024 presidential election in Trump's favor. Marianne Rafferty live with more on the impact. Marianne.
Yeah, good evening, Trace. Many